years, like clockwork, I re-deep dive down the lore of the Denver International Airport between the hours of 1 to 2 a.m. any given day. Doesn't matter when it's going to happen, but it always happens every 3 years. For those of you who have not been down this rabbit hole before, I'm going to take you down there with me because it's just so insane.
Hello everyone, my name is Lisa, and today's topic is the Denver Airport. But first, before I get into the TikToks, this is also a mukbang, so I have some strange foods from the back rooms. And today I have some Cheetos mac and cheese. Looks like this. I also have some hot garlic shrimp chips. Never had those before, that should be interesting. And for a slightly cursed beverage, I have some Warhead's Sour Black Cherry. That's terrifying. And without further ado, let's get into the TikToks. Go get a spicy snack and let's get into the spooky videos. And again, today's topic is the Denver Airport. Alright, first video, here we go.
Every 3 years, like clockwork, I re-deep dive down the lore of the Denver International Airport between the hours of 1 to 2 a.m. any given day. Doesn't matter when it's going to happen, but it always happens every 3 years. For those of you who have not been down this rabbit hole before, I'm going to take you down there with me because it's just so insane. Follow the legend, by the way. Have your own mind. You can make your own interpretations. Okay, we're all adults here. Maybe. Some of us. Not all of us. To understand how crazy some of the stuff they actually have inside the airport is, you kind of have to understand a little bit of history. So the process of building this airport actually started in September of 1989. It came in to replace the Stapleton Airport, which was a perfectly fine airport. There really wasn't any issues with it. Maybe some debates about it overcrowding a little bit. Officials came in and they were like, actually, we're going to close down this airport, open up a new one, make it bigger than Boston, as well as Miami, San Francisco, Paris, and Manhattan. We're going to set the budget at, let's say, like $2 billion. They're putting a lot of money into this airport, making it massive. But this is not what happened. They ended up opening up 2 years late because they had so many construction mishaps. Several of the buildings were constructed very incorrectly, whether it was the wrong location, wrong size, a design flaw. Ultimately, instead of demolishing these buildings, which is like the normal way to get rid of a building, they were like, oh, just bury it. Huh? Ultimately, around 5 to 6 of these buildings were just buried. During the process of building, they were also hiring out a lot of different contractors. So it's thought that there isn't like a singular person that really knows the full scale and full capacity that is DIA. There's a lot of people online that theorize that maybe some of these buildings that were buried underground are being used for something else. There's a lot of people online that have said that maybe these buildings are being used for something else, such as an underground bunker. For who, you might ask? We'll get into that. By the time they were done constructing everything, the final cost was $4.8 billion. Maybe I don't know enough about airports and the things that go into it, but $2 billion over the budget seems a lot, seems excessive. A lot of people have also commented on the shape of the airport as well, which appears to look like a very frowned upon symbol. I don't know if I can say that on here, which I don't really see this one as much unless you're like really looking for it. But one of the designs about the place that does truly creep me out is that the whole thing is surrounded by barbed wire that's facing inwards, almost as if you're keeping something trapped in as opposed to keeping something out. And you might be thinking, oh, that is kind of a weird construction process, but at least it ends there, right? Well, the way that they've decorated this place is really what's fueled the rumors, starting with the massive colorful murals that are inside. These murals have this eerie post-apocalyptic feel to them, with a military figure and children and women looking like they're at his feet. It also looks like he's unaliving a bird in one of these. But the artist has come forward and been like, no, I didn't mean for this to frighten anyone. This is just supposed to be about world peace. I totally understand that art is very interpretive for everyone, but for me personally, and it seems like for a lot of other people, I just don't feel relaxed or at peace whenever I look at some of these images. But we are literally just scratching the surface.
The Denver airport is a tinfoil tale. So in the 1950s and 60s, the United States of America dug out this massive complex inside of a mountain in Denver. And to this day, it's the headquarters for a local branch of the North American Aerospace Defense Command. Some people believe that there is a 90-mile long tunnel that runs all the way from the Denver International Airport to the Cheyenne Mountain Complex. And this is so if a bomb were dropped on Denver, all of the officials in the city wouldn't have to fight traffic. Instead, all of the important people could just get to the airport, get underground, and then go to the complex where it's safe from attacks. There are also tinfoil tales suggesting that the DIA's tunnels go much deeper than what you'd see on the airport's official blueprints. Maybe they're as much as 6 stories deep, which is far enough down to provide some protection in the event of a nuclear blast. You could just stay right there under the airport in its very own nuclear bunkers. Now, some people even think there are massive stockpiles of food and other rations in these tunnels, enough to keep a small community of survivors alive long term during an apocalypse.
The Denver airport cursed. I'm at the Denver airport right now and something weird is going on. It all started as I was driving up to the Denver airport. I noticed this giant blue horse. After further research, I found out that this blue horse has a name, and it's Blucifer. And even though Blucifer's not alive, he's actually killed someone before. He's a 32-foot tall blue horse with red glowing eyes. He was originally built by Luis Jimenez. When he was being transported, he had to be separated into multiple different parts. But when it arrived and it was being constructed, a piece actually fell on Luis. Luis did not survive. Now locals say that Blucifer represents death and destruction. And that's only the first of 5 conspiracies that surround the Denver airport.
Okay, write me a comment. Have you ever been to the Denver airport?
Nobody talks about the one airport in America you should never zoom in on. Not Area 51, not the White House, this place. At first, it looks completely normal, just another massive airport sitting in the middle of nowhere. But the deeper people looked into Denver International Airport, the stranger everything became. This airport went billions over budget, and people still question where all that money actually went. Beneath the runways are underground tunnels nobody fully explains. Inside the terminals are disturbing murals and strange symbols that fueled conspiracy theories for years. And outside stands the terrifying Blue Mustang statue, the giant glowing-eyed horse that actually killed its own creator when part of the sculpture collapsed on him. Some believe the airport was secretly designed as an underground bunker. Others think powerful organizations use it for something far darker. And the craziest theory of all? That enormous underground facilities are still hidden beneath the airport right now, far beyond what the public is allowed to see. Officials call it nonsense, but people keep asking the same question. Why would an airport need this much land, this many tunnels, and this much secrecy? Think Area 51 is mysterious. Denver might be even worse.
Denver International Airport is the most monstrous conspiracy theory. I don't know whether to start with the fact that it's twice the size of Boston, Miami, and San Francisco. That every several months during construction, they switched contractors so that no one knows the full layout of the airport. Not to mention, there's at least 5 buildings that they decided to bury, and there's potentially hundreds of underground bunkers. So I'll just start it off simply with the terrifying artwork in this airport. Denver Airport welcomes you with this inviting 32-foot, 9,000-pound statue of this demonic horse with red eyes nicknamed Blucifer. This possessed statue essentially murdered its creator when a piece of it fell off during construction and severed its artery. A lot of people believe that it represents one of the 4 horsemen who will usher in the apocalypse, which seems far-fetched until you see the artwork they have in the Denver airport. What better way to get in the mood for a flight than to walk past this mural of a soldier stabbing a dove holding a rifle standing over unconscious children? The gas mask and decaying city are also a nice touch.
Okay, write me a comment. What do you think of all this?
They keep deleting the video about the murals, so I'm really just gonna have to watch my mouth. Basically, there are these murals inside the airport that actually depicted a lot of apocalyptic kind of... Let me just show you. Like, imagine walking into baggage claim and seeing this. Or better yet, this. The weird part is a lot of these murals had children incorporated into them. Mind you, this was made in the 1990s, and it even references things that we're experiencing today. Now, these murals were so controversial for the last about 8 years. They've been putting them up and taking them down, putting them up and taking them down. But the lore gets better. If you guys don't know about Blucifer, this is going to be who welcomes you to the Denver airport. When I was in Denver this week, I met some locals who were telling me that they actually moved the statue to do some construction underneath the airport. So then I got curious and I really wanted to know more about the crime and stuff that goes on. And y'all, people go missing and then magically turn up. One lady went missing and was dead in her car for 6 weeks. Y'all should really look into the theories about this place.
Not to be a conspiracy theorist or anything, but I want to talk about the Denver airport. I want to hear other people's experiences because there's just some weird energy there. Years ago, I've heard SparkNotes versions of the lore of what goes on allegedly at the Denver airport. But I never really looked into it. I'd never been or anything like that. But last week, I went to Denver. I had 3 separate people ask me, do you know what allegedly happens at the Denver airport? And I was like, I've heard the lore, but you tell me. Every single one of them independently told me the same thing, that allegedly there are a network of underground tunnels, and that's where the are. And allegedly there are humanoids of a more amphibious nature, for anyone who like doesn't know the lore. So yeah, I want your opinions, because here's the thing. I've traveled to so many airports in my life, and I've never once felt like I did in the Denver airport. And that's not because I like had a preconceived notion of it or anything like that. I genuinely hated how that felt.
Did anybody see the video that was going viral this past week of a worker that apparently had clearance to access certain parts of these tunnels that he was showing off on video? Probably not smart, but tunnels of which he showed being clearly underneath the airport. I mean, he showed himself walking into the airport and then eventually walking through numerous hallways of which he gained clearance into, and then he took an elevator down below, which seemed like levels down below, might I mention, and he proceeded to walk through this other hallway. And when he walked outside of the door at the end of this hallway, he showed these vast tunnel systems. I mean, these seem to have stretched out for well over a mile. It looked like you can even drive a fucking semi through them. It's actually crazy because on his video, you can actually see numerous individuals passing by him, some even wearing these full black suits. I mean, these things look like mining tunnels. And then he proceeded to talk about something, which is probably why his video just so happened to be taken down. He proceeded to speak about these aircraft that he claimed were hidden down below in various sections throughout these tunnels. He started mentioning how there's certain individuals apparently that have high security clearance, that have access to those certain parts of the tunnels and shit. He even started to talk about Stargate.
Okay, I'm in Denver, Colorado, okay? The airport is right here to my left. Now, listen, I work road construction. I'm going to show y'all something, okay? So, we have these manholes. And each manhole tells you what it is. I'm going to show you each manhole in a 1,000-foot radius, okay? This little one says CP testing. Stay with me now. Just stay with me. Okay, this next one on the sidewalk is a storm sewer. So the water goes there. It says storm sewer. Okay. This one, sewer. This one, water. This one, water. Water. This one right here, electric. Now stay with me, okay? Remember, stay with me. It's actually, stay with me, okay? Now, here we are working. And then all of a sudden, on the sidewalk, now let me remind you, I said the Denver airport, look, airplane right there. The Denver airport is now right here on my right, okay? We all know about under the Denver airport. Now, look at this. Okay, in a 1,000-foot radius, I've showed you the manholes. They were, in the road. Tell me why on the sidewalk, this one, it doesn't have anything about what it is. It only says, who made the top or whatever. And look at the pattern on it. It's not like any of the other ones. And it's huge. Huge. Like you can fit peoples in there. So, conspiracy? Nah.
Absolutely terrifying.
Oh, we got to get hours and then
Oh my. What? write me a comment. What do you guys think of the tunnels? Harmless or not so much? I am not a fan of this.
The other day, I explored the Denver airport in hopes of finding the secret tunnels that everyone's been talking about, and it resulted in me nearly getting arrested.
There's no secret tunnel. The tunnels are for luggage only.
And for everyone that wants an update on the hidden camera, I have some unfortunate news. The camera recorded everything, and I remember putting it back into its case, but when I went to download the footage, the camera was missing. I've been looking everywhere for it the past couple days, so I'm hoping to find it because I'm getting kind of freaked out.
Y'all, I'm in the Conspiracy Theory Denver Airport, and I'm trying to find all these secret tunnels. I think this is my trick. I'm gonna follow these construction workers. They look like they going somewhere. I'm on their ass. Okay, they keep looking back, so I think they're on to me, so I'm just gonna lay back a little bit. I've played too many video games like this. I think the only way for me to get into any type of door is to, you know, uniform swap. Something's weird. They just went in the emergency exit. That's a fire valve. Like I said, I came here for one reason. I gotta find these tunnels. Okay, there's workers right there, worker right there, and a worker over there. When they're not looking, I'm gonna make a run for the door. You know what? I just gotta be confident. I gotta go in there. Don't hesitate. Made it. I'm gonna see how high this goes up. I made it to the top, but I need a badge to enter this.
This story was sent in by someone who says that they worked at the Denver International Airport in maintenance, did not give me a job title, did not want their real name used. And what they said they saw there, you're not going to like. We all know the lore about Lucifer and the creepy murals, but just because this story contains the content that it does, I'm just going to go ahead and say that I can't prove the validity of any of these stories. This is just what someone sent me, and this is for entertainment purposes only. I'm going to call this person M, and M started their email by saying that they probably shouldn't be sending this, but they think that I'm one of the only people, and this audience is some of the only people that are going to believe them, because other people have said that this is basically just increasing paranoia. So take from this what you will, but this person worked in operations/maintenance and had access and clearance for some areas that are not generally accessible to the public. These areas inaccessible to the public are really nothing to write home about. They're just sublevels, maintenance corridors, and airside logistics zones, really just the guts of the place. But this person said they were writing because something is happening down there, and something still might be happening down there. And there was a group of between 6 and 8 men wearing black suits and sunglasses that would show up around a specific gate between 3:30 and 3:40 in the morning. I'm not going to say the specific gate just in case that's sensitive information, but these people were not average business travelers. They had no name tags, no luggage, no chatter among them. They were dead silent. They looked and behaved very similarly, but there were noticeable differences. It wasn't like they were clones of each other. They would just stand at this gate, and at first this person thought it was military related or something related to security that they didn't have clearance to know about, but it was weird because nothing was coming or going from that gate at this hour in the morning. And they weren't there every night, but they were there a lot. And so this person started asking around about them, but nobody knew who they were. When they were there, security did not log them, and then when they tried to review files from this corridor, I'm not sure exactly what that means, those files were missing or corrupted. But then M says it got worse. These men never moved. They never spoke to each other. But if you made eye contact with them, you felt it. M said it was like they were looking through you, like they knew everything that you had ever done wrong. At one point, they passed these people, and one of the men removed his sunglasses, and M said that his eyes were completely black, not like his pupils, like all of his eyes were completely black. M said there are tunnels beneath the C terminal that are not on any blueprint, but M has witnessed them. And this is where the men would go. One night, M followed them from a distance, moved in unison, silently, like their feet were barely touching the floor. They went toward a service elevator in sublevel 5, which M said is supposed to be inactive, but M heard it move. M says as M got closer, they swear that they saw one of the men holding a black triangle that looked like it was made of liquid. They held it up to this door and the door opened. M goes back to their respective station and says that their badge had been deactivated by the time they got back. M says nobody could explain it. It had to be walked out by a supervisor who wouldn't look M in the eye. A few days later, they had it all resolved and they said it was a tech misread. After that, M was only ever scheduled on the A terminal side, never C. M said the last night they worked at the airport, there was a lockdown drill. It was supposed to be a test, but the tones were wrong, and they had only heard this tone frequency one other time, which was a night that all of the lights in Terminal C had gone out. During the time of the drill, M was in Terminal A working on a maintenance call. The radio went off from Terminal C, but there was nothing on the other end. It was just static. When they got back to the main terminal after the drill ended, they saw them, all the men in black suits standing inside the TSA line. No one stopped them, no one scanned them, and every single monitor on the displays behind them had glitched out to say a specific gate in Terminal C. M was called to their supervisor's office where they were let go for a security incident. Would not clarify. They ended their email by saying, I don't know if this qualifies for Spooky Scary Story Time, but I just wanted to put this information out there in case it helps anyone put any pieces together. They said, I just needed someone to know that it happened, so.
Have you ever heard any of those stories that surround the Denver airport? If you haven't, I'm sure you're gonna have fun down that rabbit hole. Anyway, I have an interesting little glitch story, and of course it happens to surround the Denver airport. But it's totally different than all of the other things I'm sure you'll come across about that airport. So this person writes that they were living in Denver and their friend was flying into the Denver airport to visit. The Denver National Airport was about 30 minutes away and their friend was scheduled to land at 11:15 p.m. But at exactly 10:30 p.m., they receive a text message from this friend that was supposed to be on the flight, and it said, I just landed, are you here? So they assumed her flight just landed early, so they started to scramble and get ready and get out the door to make the trip over to the airport. While they were on their way, they called this friend just to confirm, and it went straight to voicemail. She thinks maybe her phone died or something. But what was even weirder still was while they were driving to the airport, they kept refreshing the flight info, and it said that the plane was still in transit. So they end up getting to the airport earlier than 11:15, but they can't get a hold of their friend and everything says that the plane is still in transit. So they start circling the airport and waiting for any sign from their friend. And then right around 11:15, she gets a text message from that friend. And it was the exact same text message that she received at 10:30. So now she has two identical text messages in her phone. One was timestamped for 10:30 and the other one was around 11:15. So she calls her friend again and it rings and she picks up right away. She asked her friend, did you text me from on the plane? And her friend said, no, because my phone was off. I turned my phone off for the flight. So when she finally meets up with her, she asks to see her phone and she wanted to compare text conversations. And sure enough, while her phone had the two different timestamps on messages, her friend only had one sent out at 11:15. Her friend also confirmed that she did not previously type the message out, just waiting to hit send. There was no way that she could have typed out that message. Her phone was completely off. She only did that once the plane landed. She said that this glitch in the Matrix made her waste 15 minutes of her life circling the airport.
What is going on at the Denver airport? This story is especially scary because I know the person that it happened to, and it's recent, like just happened this weekend over the holiday. Got a call from a friend of mine. She was freaking out because she had a layover yesterday at the Denver airport, and she'd never been there before. It was like a short time frame. It was like a delay from her takeoff. Anyway, she was running late. So she gets to the gate. The woman at the gate was like, hey, your gate's been changed. You know, no big deal. That happens all the time. So she tells her that she needs to go to G6. Points in like a direction, like go that way, and just kind of sends her on her way. So she's like going, she sees like a weird sign that tells her to like go down a hallway or something. She said that as she's walking down the hallway, she saw payphones. And she said, I have not seen a payphone and I don't even know how long. And then it started looking like really old, outdated. So she's immediately like, what's happening? She gets to the room, she sees that it says G6, and she said it wasn't even like a normal gate. It was a room with no windows. It was really weird. She said it was yellow on the inside. So she's describing it, and I'm like, ugh, I hate liminal spaces. And she didn't know what that meant. But anyway, there were a few people in there, but she said they were not moving. No one had their phones out. She kept trying to like connect her phone to the Wi-Fi, and it just kept like glitching and restarting. She said that she specifically remembers looking at the clock, and the clock said 2:14, and she was relieved that she had like 16 minutes before her flight started boarding. She doesn't travel a lot, so she was already stressed out. So she's sitting there for a few minutes reading a book on her Kindle when she looks up and the clock still said 2:14 and the people had not moved. So she starts getting like really freaked out. So she tries to leave and she goes down the hallway, makes like a turn or whatever, ends up right back where she started. Now she said she was almost like hysterical. She tries to leave again. She comes back in the room and all of the people are gone, but their coats are still on the seat. So this time she leaves the room. She's like running, crying. When she runs into a janitor and tells the janitor like, hey, like, can you help me find like the gate or whatever? He tells her that there's no such thing as G6. Now, I don't go to Denver a lot, so I'm listening to the story, and as she's telling me this on the phone, I pull up my I start looking for it to see if, and they don't have one. She goes to the airline, tells them like, hey, I missed my flight. They pull it up and they're like, there was never a flight. That flight doesn't exist. Like, what are you talking about? And she was like, I have the boarding pass. So she starts like looking for it. And that's when she realized that she left it on the seat that she sat down on in G6. And she tells the lady like, hey, I must have left it like, at that G6, but I'm not going back. And the woman's like, there's no G6. What?
Okay. Hi, everybody. So I'm in the Denver airport right now, and you know all the conspiracy theories about the Denver airport and how there's back rooms and just how it's just so creepy and low-key like demonic stuff is going on, like not good. So I'm here and I was on the phone with my mom. I was calling her and I was just talking to her about just some stuff, and I start walking and I'm walking down like this dark hallway and I'm like, Mom, I'm in the back rooms of the Denver airport, like joking. But then I kept walking farther because my gate is B95. B95, that's all the way in the end of the airport. Let me just show you because I'm kind of like freaked out, like actually kind of freaked out because there's literally, I'll show you where my gate is. This isn't real. Like, there's no way that I'm actually flying out through that gate. Like, there's no way that this is real. There's literally no workers back here. There's no people. And I just walked all the way to the end of the airport. If I get kidnapped, just know it was because I'm in the Denver airport.
I love that people love the Denver airport as much as I do. Okay, I got hired as an intern when I was in my early 20s. I am now in my early 30s. Back then, the city was pretty new to owning the blue horse entitled Mustang, known as Lucifer by many. So when I was hired, if I got caught saying that last one, I might not have a job anymore. There's a really strict policy around positivity only, talking about the big blue horse. Reason being is it was an outlet for people's satanic panic. Most of the drama came from Denver residents. The people who actually worked for the art commission are really cool. They're all about forward-thinking, interesting art, and not letting the city become some kind of weird beige dystopia. But my job, I was originally hired to work on their database, which was cool. But once all of my database work was done, I would do something different every day. And one of the things that I had to do is organize the hate mail. We would receive phone calls, emails, and physical letters about how creepy that thing was, how satanic it was, how disturbing it was to local Christians and parents. Not only was the Mustang controversial because of its crazy appearance, but also because of the tragic backstory. If you're up on your Denver airport trivia, you know that that thing fell on its creator while it was being sculpted and killed the man. Now, before I had to organize the hate mail, another thing I had to do is go with one of my supervisors to a routine maintenance check for the horse to make sure its paint was good, it was looking real cute, all of its lights were working. So we're on our way there, and I'm getting a little bit of a backstory from this person about the horse and about the artist. And he tells me that when Eumenes was a child, he lost his left eye in a BB gun accident. We start wrapping our conversation as we're getting closer to the horse. And as I'm approaching, I look at the LED eyes, right? Because it has these two big red eyes. And as I'm looking up at the thing, the left eye burns out. You can't convince me it's not haunted.
Okay, one more video for today.
Do you remember the first time you ever flew into the Denver airport? I definitely do. It was 2007 and I had never heard any of the stories about the Denver airport up until that point. I flew in alone at night. I came off the airplane and the first thing I saw was construction and the second thing I saw was this. Very welcoming. And if you're into conspiracies at all, the Denver airport is up there on that list. And here's just a few things that make this place weird and people question. The original budget for the airport was $3 billion in 1995. They ended up spending $4.8 billion. Projects like this often go over budget, but over budget by $1.8 billion is a lot. A whistleblower claimed that there was over-ordering of materials, unused tunnels, sealed-off infrastructure, and unexplained redundancies. And it makes you wonder, is this just typical construction waste? Some sort of money laundering situation? Or were they hiding a second covert operation project? They spent $600 million on an automated baggage system that was a complete and utter failure. Miles of underground tunnels for a system that never worked correctly. And what's interesting is there's no public information about the amount of square footage or the number of levels under this airport. And the unknown amount of space under this airport makes people wonder. You have the Cheyenne Mountain Complex underground, about an hour and a half from the airport. And it's speculated they could be connected by a tunnel. Now, of course, there's the theory about the runway shape. And supposedly it had to be built this way because of the crazy crosswinds and wind shear. But yeah, it's a very interesting shape. And then, of course, the art. And whether or not you believe it's symbolism, it's weird. And it's kind of interesting to me that all of the artists separately went in this weird, strange direction. Surely they didn't all get together and decide, like, let's just try to do the weirdest things possible. The gargoyles were an interesting choice, but why are they only hearing no evil? Like the whole, like, see no evil, hear no evil, whatever. There's another one. And this one. And of course the murals with such lovely colors. Because this is exactly what I want to see coming off of an airplane. Wonder what this could mean. And then of course you can't forget Lucifer. The statue that literally killed its artist. And this little time capsule. Nice. And the floors. This is interesting. Little... And I've heard a lot of people say, like, art is weird. That's just the way it is. I just don't know that airport art needs to be that intense. But what do I know? And if you know anything else about the Denver airport, it is always under construction, like, constantly. And I can't decide if the construction posters are just leaning into the weirdness or they're trying to gaslight us. I mean, it's funny, I guess. Here's another one. And another. Oh, and you can't forget this one. It's a nice use of a symbol there. Fun. Yeah, I mean, surely, just leaning in. And it makes me laugh when people try to explain away the pile of weirdness that is associated with this airport. And you may think it's just a whole lot of coincidences, but I don't believe in coincidence. And laughing at the theories is a very common tactic. What are your thoughts on this, and what is your favorite Denver airport conspiracy?
Okay, thank you very much for joining me today. Again, write me a comment. Have you ever been to the Denver airport? If so, did anything happen? And what do you think of all this? Do you think it's harmless? Is there something more sinister going on? Let me know what you think in the comments. And the only thing that I can add is I live pretty close to another airport on the opposite side of the country, and it is nothing like the Denver airport. There is no massive blue horse sculpture. There are no creepy murals. It's a lot smaller. By comparison, the Denver airport does seem very strange. And with that, again, thank you very much for joining me today, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!